Hello, everyone, and welcome to the part 10 of this Amazon Bedrock AgentCore series. In our lab today, we will create a long-term memory agent using built-in strategy override for semantic strategy. Prerequisite for this lab is completing part 9. So part 10 essentially is a variation of part 9. In part 9, we had created a long-term memory agent with built-in strategies that all three built-in strategies were used. In part 10, we are going to use built-in override for one of the strategies, and that is the semantic strategy. So it's a variation of part 9. Hence, complete this lab, then this lab will make more sense to you. The URL to this lab is mentioned right over here at the bottom. It will also be mentioned in the description of this video. These are some reference URLs as well as URLs to playlists for Bedrock and AgentCore. So refer to these URLs if you want to know more about this topic and bookmark these URLs. As I add more tutorials and labs, you can easily get to that particular playlist. All these will be mentioned in the description of this video. Scenario for our lab today. So as I said, part 10 is essentially a variation of part 9. So everything is the same over here. We are still going to create, deploy, and invoke our agent using AgentCore. We are going to use a LLM to respond to user's prompt. It is still going to have short-term memory. We are still going to store our long-term memory. We are going to use built-in strategies for summary and user preference. But we are going to use built-in override for our semantic strategy. This is the key difference over here. That is, one of the strategies is built-in override. Now, you could potentially override all three, but since we are doing it for the first time, I am only overriding one of the strategies. You could certainly override summary or user preference if you feel like and keep the rest of the others as built-in, or you can override all three also at the same time. But for this lab, we are going to keep it simple and straightforward. We are going to use the built-in for summary and user preferences and built-in override for our semantic strategy. This is my GitHub URL. This is the GitHub repo. So please bookmark this repo as you continue along with me following this particular playlist. And this is where all the source code is available. Now, as I mentioned earlier, part 10 is a variation of part 9, wherein one of the strategies is going to be built-in override. So all the steps are same as part 9, except for step 5. That's where we create and provision our memory. In this case, we will create a long-term memory with built-in override for semantic strategy. Use the same source code that you used in part 9 for this lab as well. There is no separate source code for part 10. This source code for part 9 will work very well. So all these steps are the same. So step 1, your environment setup, creation of your user and role. Step 2. Step 3 is the installation and configuration of your AWS CLI. And step 4 is basically your AgentCore starter toolkit installation. Now, of course, these steps are also same for a lot of labs you have done earlier as well. Step 5 is a step that is different. So in this step, we will go ahead and provision our memory module or a component. Click on create memory, give a memory name, Set the short-term memory to 7 days of expiration. And under long-term memory extraction strategies. So here, this is where we are going to say we are going to use built-in strategies for summarization and user preferences. Leave everything as default. But under built-in strategy with override, we are going to add a strategy and set the strategy type as semantic. Set the extraction and consolidation model as Anthropic Cloud 3.5 Sonnet. Now you can use another model if you like. I'm sticking to 3.5 Sonnet. Leave all the values as default. After that, we will provision or create a new service access role. Note its name. Remember basically to delete it at the end of the lab. Finally, go ahead and create your memory and note the memory ID and the strategy IDs. So let's go to Bedrock. Where's Bedrock? This is Bedrock. And under Bedrock AgentCore, I am in the build memory. Click on create memory. We have a name over here. I'm going to leave that as it is. I'm going to change the short-term memory expiration to 7 days. Under long-term memory extraction strategies, we are going to choose default strategy or the built-in strategy for summarization. So check summarization, keep everything same. And check user preferences and keep everything the same. Now, episodes is newly added. It was just launched during reInvent. So I'm not going to get into episodes right now. Let us just focus on the first 3 that we have been working with. Now, remember that we are going to override our semantic strategy. So under built-in strategy with override, click on add strategy. And over here, change the strategy type to semantic. And you will notice that the strategy name has changed. Leave the namespace as it is, don't change. Go to extraction, and this is where we need to give our model. So I'm going to use Cloud 3.5 Sonnet. You could use any other model that you like. If you see, there is a command prompt over here, a prompt type that is filled in. Let me paste that right here. Now, this is the actual prompt that is going to be sent to your LLM. Now, if you want, you can certainly customize this as well or override it as well. There's nothing that's stopping you from doing that. But since we are overriding the strategy for the first time, I'm going to leave it as it is. Similarly, under consolidation, let's select a model over here, Cloud 3.5 Sonnet. Again, you will see there's a prompt over here which is pre-filled. And this one is pretty lengthy actually. Let me remove the older one. Paste this. You see, it's pretty lengthy prompt. And it is basically giving some examples and telling how this particular strategy works. So it starts from here. You are a conservative memory manager that preserves existing information while carefully integrating new facts. And of course, you can even overwrite this, but right now I'm going to keep it as it is to keep things simple. Scroll down, and over here under service access, create a new service role and basically copy this and keep it on the side. So let me just remove all of this, get rid of that, paste our service role over here. At the end, don't forget to delete this role. So we have a semantic strategy override. Here it is. If you see, there's a semantic override. And under built-in strategies, we have summarization and user preferences. And now we will go ahead and click on create memory. Once the memory has been created, note the memory ID and the strategy IDs as well. because we will use those in our code. So let's go. So this is your memory ID right here. So copy this. Paste it. And now go and copy your strategy IDs. Now, if you see over here, under type, it shows you that user preference is built in, but semantic is built in with override. And summarization is built in as well. So copy these IDs. This is your preference strategy. This is your semantic override. And this is your summary built in. So let's copy all of these. I hope I copied the whole thing. Okay, I did. Perfect. So all of these have been copied. So we've completed step 5. Now step 6 is also the same as it was. All that we need to do is replace our memory ID and our strategy IDs in our code, and then essentially go ahead and create your requirements.txt, configure your agent, and launch your agent. So all the steps are the same. And finally, invoke your agent. So I basically have the source code right here. As you can see, this is a source code. And this is your source code for your agent. So simply just copy this. And I have my VS Studio right here. I'm going to paste the code. All that we need to do is replace the IDs for our memory and our strategy. So go back over here and replace these. Okay. And do the same for the other 3 as well. So this is your preference. So preference is still built in. Your semantic is override. So paste this right there. And finally your summary. And after this, go ahead and create your agent. So you can give again any name that you like for your agent. But this is my EC2 instance. And I'm going to say vi my agent.py, hit I, right click, escape : WQ, create your requirements.txt. So this particular file and that source code is also available over here. This has been copied from GitHub. It is available on GitHub as well, right over here. You can copy the raw text or the raw file. And you can come over here, do requirements.txt. Paste it right there. And now go ahead and basically configure your agent. So let me quickly copy this step and we will configure our agent with our built-in override for semantic strategy. So this is not the name of our agent. It is actually my agent.py. Oops. Okay, hit enter. We're fine with this name. We're good with requirements.txt. Yes. Choice is 1. Choice is 3. We are using Python 3.12, so we are good. Execution role. I had created an execution role earlier. So I'm going to copy that. Paste it right there. Hit enter. Enter, enter, enter. Now remember, we had provisioned our memory and we want to use the same memory. So this is our memory ID. And this is where it is. So in under choice, if you have multiple memories, ensure that you choose the right memory. I only have this memory, so I'm going to enter 1. Hit enter, and your agent has been configured. If you want to see your agent configuration, basically go to this hidden file, which is Bedrock AgentCore.yaml file. Hit enter, and this is where your agent is. So your agent name right here. Then let's see our memory. This is our memory. Yes, this is the same memory ID that we have over here. As you can see, DTJ right there. And it was not created using this particular agent core starter kit. So that's fine. So hit escape, colon, Q, exclamation. Hit enter. You don't want to save this file. Now let us go ahead and launch this particular agent. So right click, hit enter. And remember, launch takes a while. Okay, so be patient. And after this is launched, we will go ahead and run this prompt. So let me get a prompt ready. It is the same prompt. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it in Notepad, and get a prompt ready. So always look for those special characters when you copy from PowerPoint. Okay, so our prompt is ready. So once our agent has been launched, then we will run this particular prompt. Okay, so it seems our agent was launched successfully, and it does not harm to check its status. So copy this, right click, hit enter. So it is saying your agent is ready and ready to invoke. Okay, so we are going to clear the screen. Now, before we invoke it, let's quickly go to Agent Core, go to runtime. This is our agent right there. Click on your agent, go to your default endpoint, go to CloudWatch logs. And this is our log group, I guess, for our agent. And click on Start Tailing. So as we start interacting with this agent, we will be able to see the command prompt coming over here. Okay, so let's see. Let us now copy the invoke command along with the prompt to be sent. Right click, prompt, hello, my name is Namrata. Hit enter, and let's see if it's coming over here. If the agent tends to misbehave, then it may take a while. Okay, it's taking some time. Okay, so it seems that we got an error. Runtime initialization time exceeded. Please make sure that the initialization completes in 30 seconds. So for whatsoever the initialization didn't happen, hit enter again. Okay, so clear the screen. Okay, let me basically stop tailing for a second. And now over here, if you get this error, try to launch this agent again. Okay. Sometimes this error does come. So I've stopped tailing and it is using the right memory. Let me just see that the memory has been provisioned successfully and is active. It is active, active, and all these three are also active. So all our strategies are also active. So I'm just going to give it another shot to see if it works correctly this time around. Sometimes agent core tends to misbehave. Okay, so let's clear the screen. And now we will try and invoke this agent. Okay, I think it's taking way too long, so it's probably not going to initialize. Okay, timed out again. And let's see if it's showing us why it is timing out. Most times it will not even have anything in the CloudWatch logs. See, there's nothing over here. And there is nothing over there as well. So it's not telling us as to why it is failing, but it is failing for some reason or the other. Now, another thing that you can do to troubleshoot something like this is remove the YAML file, clear the screen, and configure the agent again. So we're good with this. Requirements.txt 1, 3. Copy the ARN. Hit enter. No, no. 1. Okay. Clear the screen again. And now say agent core and launch. So this is our last shot. If it doesn't work, then it's okay. Sometimes this is very, very painful. So now it's telling you that the agent already exists. So you have to use auto update on conflict flag. So copy that and hit enter. So these are some of the different issues that you can possibly come across while deploying your agent. Now, hopefully this time around it works. If it does not work, then there's nothing much that we can do. I'll have to just basically go ahead and re-record this lab. Okay, so this has been completed and we are going to check the status again. The status is good. Clear the screen and we are good to invoke our agent. So let us try again and see if this thing works. Okay, so there you go. So this time it did work. And now let us go back and go to our CloudWatch logs. Start tailing. Okay, now let us communicate with this particular agent and see what it has to say. So the next one is going to be, I live in NYC and love to bike around the city. I'm just giving it some information. Okay, so hit enter. And now we should be able to see this thing coming over here in real time. So there it is. So total of 2 events. If you see our strategies have kicked in, so built in reference. Let me zoom in a little bit. So you see. So this is our built-in preference. This is a semantic override, which has 1 memory. And our summary has 1 memory as well. Now let us communicate further. My favorite city to shop is, not shop is Dubai. Again, I'm giving it another fact. Okay. And now we should be able to see this somewhere over here. So now we have 2 in user preferences, 2 memories, 3 memories in semantic override, as you can see, and 2 memories for our summary. Now, as we communicate with this more and more, it will basically generate additional information from the events, that is a short-term memory, and add it to our long-term memory. I love eating pizza, especially the New York thin crust. Joe's pizza is amazing. Okay, so I'm just telling it a little bit, and it should be thin crust, and I wrote think crust, but it is smart enough to understand it is not thin crust, but it is thin crust. And let us now go and look at our events. So we have a total of 4 events in our short-term memory, and our long-term memory has 3 memories each for all 3 strategies. So just like what we did in part 9, let us now go ahead and read our long-term memory. So we'll use this utility. It's only 1 py, not 2 py's. We'll use this utility and replace our memory ID. So let me quickly go and copy it. So there it is. This is a utils long-term memory utility. Copy it. Go to my code, paste it right there. And this is where we need to replace our memory ID. So let me copy a memory ID. Control C and Control V. And this is the output. Now, this was the output for all 3 built-in strategies. Remember, one of them has been overridden. So let's go over here, copy this piece of code. Now go back over here, clear the screen, and let's come back here and say vi read ltm.py, hit I, right click, escape, colon, WQ, hit enter. Now say Python read ltm.py and hit enter. And there it is. It has read through our long-term memory. Just copy this whole thing and come back over here. So this was a sample that was shared in Lab 9. Okay, and this is the output of all of your built-in strategies. Let's copy our output over here. Now remember that two of them are built-in, one of them is custom. So this is built-in, this is also built-in, but the semantic strategy is custom, as you can see. So for user preference, you can see that it is mentioned over here. The user explicitly mentioned living in NYC. They like to bike around the city, and their favorite city to shop is Dubai. And for semantic, this is the person's name. This is where the person lives, and the person likes to bike around the city. This is our semantic override. And for the summary built in, it has basically summarized, if you see over here, everything from our conversation into our long-term memory. So they basically introduce themselves. They express the love for pizza, specifically New York thin crust. Now remember, by mistake, I said think crust, but hey, it's intelligent enough to understand it's not think, but it's thin crust. And of course, that I like Joe's Pizza a lot. And they also mentioned, as it's written over here, that Dubai is their favorite city for shopping. So our semantic override, particularly, this is what we are interested in because the other two are still default. A semantic override is working beautifully. Okay. It's doing what it is supposed to do. It's extracting the information correctly. It's using a model, and it's also consolidating and storing all the information that is required in our long-term memory. So this is working really very well. I believe we have come to the end, and it's time for you to delete all the resources. So don't forget to do that. But with that, we have come to the end of this particular lab. Sorry, there were a few errors that happened, but in a way it's good. In case you get this error, you know what to do. Sometimes AgentCore does tend to misbehave, but what I've seen is that if I redeploy it or I delete the YAML file and redeploy it, it works really very well. So this is it from me today. Do post your comments, and I will see you shortly in some other video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.